Have you ever caught yourself waiting for life to change? Maybe you've been thinking, once I finally get that job, once I finally get together with that person, once I finally have that amount of money in my bank account, then I'll be on the right track, then I'll be happy, then things will be different. If that's you, I want you to hear this very clearly. If you sit there waiting for something out there to change before allowing yourself to have what you want and to live the life that you want to be living, then you're going to be sitting there waiting for a very long time. Why? Because when you're waiting for something out there to change, whether it's a relationship or a job or your financial situation or even just how you feel, you're actually putting your power outside of yourself. You're saying, until life proves to me that I get to have what I want, I can't feel sure that I get to have it. Until I see evidence, I can't believe it's happening. Until the situation changes, I can't act from the knowing that this is definitely happening. But here's the problem. The outer world is just a reflection. What you assume to be true on the inside is what the world has no choice but to reflect back to you on the outside. So when you sit in waiting energy, the assumption you're actually living from is, it's not here yet. I don't get to have it yet. I'm not there yet. I can't have what I want for now. And what does reality reflect? More waiting. More not there yet. More almost but not quite. That's why it feels like being stuck in a loop. Because the assumption that you're waiting is the very thing generating more waiting. So the key isn't being patient and waiting for life to give you permission. The key is deciding right now, today, to be who you want to be and to live the life that you want to be living. Don't make yourself dependent on something happening out there in order for you to be allowed to do that. Give yourself permission to do what you want to do or to have what you want to have or to be who you want to be right now. No more waiting. Now, when you hear me say this, you might be thinking, but I can't. There's this thing in a way that's stopping me from having what I want or from doing what I want. And from a physical point of view, from the perspective of your human self, you might be right. That might very well be true, that you can't do or have the thing you want because there's something physically stopping you. But if you understand that you have access to all the settings on the projector that's projecting out everything going on in the world and in your life, then it's no longer true that you can't do or have what you want because of this thing that's in the way, because at the higher level, you're the one choosing that this thing is in the way, and you can choose to remove it if you want to. So if you're feeling like you can't do what you want because of this thing that's in the way, it's time to examine what you're choosing to set as your truth, what you've got your settings set to, and therefore what story you're choosing to project out as a result of that. Now here's the thing. Most people don't realize that they are the one setting those settings in the first place. They look out at the world, they see the facts of their life, and they assume that those facts are something fixed, something they have no say over. But the truth is, those facts are only there because of what you're assuming, what you're believing, what you're saying to yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. Think about it like this. It's as if you're walking around with a kind of invisible script in your hand. And whether you know it or not, that script is directing the scenes of your life. It's dictating how your life goes. It's placing you in a role where you're saying, this is who I am, this is what I get to have, this is what's possible for me, this is what always happens to me. And you're the one who's choosing that script. You're the one who's written it. And reality has been faithfully playing it out for you. So when you say, I can't because of this thing that's in the way, what you're actually doing is writing a line into your script that says, This is a block I have to deal with. This is a limitation I have to live with. And because reality is only ever reflecting back the script you've given it, you'll see that limitation play out as though it's set in stone. But here's where it gets exciting. You can rewrite that script at any moment. You can pick up the pen and decide that the story you've been living in is no longer the story you're going to keep repeating. You can decide that the thing you thought was blocking you is no longer a block. You can literally say to yourself, this is not part of my story anymore. This is not who I am. I don't accept this as my truth. And when you do that, reality has no choice but to adjust itself to match. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds too easy. If it were really that simple, wouldn't everyone do it? But the thing is, most people don't realize that they really can make that choice. They stay stuck because they believe that the facts around them are more powerful than their choices. They believe that the story they're living is something life has given them, rather than something they're choosing. And because of that, they wait. They wait for proof. They wait for the external world to change first. They wait to see signs or results or some kind of evidence that it's safe to believe something new. But waiting is just another way of giving your power away. Waiting is saying, I'll change when reality gives me permission, instead of realizing that reality changes when you give yourself permission to change it. So let me ask you this. What story have you been waiting to let go of? What limitation have you been carrying forwards as though it's unchangeable, when really it's just an old line in your script? Maybe it's the story that you're not good enough, or that you don't deserve the kind of love or money or success you really want. Maybe it's the story that things are always hard for you, that opportunities don't come your way, or that things always go wrong before you're able to get to the finish line. Whatever it is, I want you to hear me on this. Those are not facts that are set in stone. They are just potential options out of an infinite number of options that are available to you. And if you can recognize that the only reason those things are facts now is because you're choosing that they're true, then you can also recognize that you can choose something different from now on. And this is where the shift happens, because instead of asking, how do I get rid of this block, or how do I fix this problem, you start asking, what story am I choosing right now? What do I want to set as my truth? What state do I want to live from? And when you shift into that perspective, you stop being the character in the story who's at the mercy of the plot, and you step into the role of the author who's writing the plot. You stop being the one who's reacting to the facts, and you start being the one who's directing and deciding what facts get to show up. And let me tell you, the difference between those two ways of living is like night and day. Because when you're the author, you're no longer afraid of what might happen. You're no longer constantly waiting for things to line up or work out. You're no longer stuck trying to figure out how to get from where you are to where you want to be. Instead, you're already living that experience because you've written it into your story. And reality, as it always does, will simply create the corresponding reflection. Now, let's get practical here. How do you actually do this? How do you shift from being the one who's waiting for reality to change to being the one who's writing the change into your reality? Well, step one is awareness. You've got to start noticing the stories you've been telling yourself on autopilot. What do you say to yourself as you go through life? What do you assume about yourself when you think about your future? What do you believe about what's possible for you? We're all walking around with a constant inner dialogue that's quietly setting the script for our lives. And because we do it so naturally and so automatically, we don't even realize it's happening. We think we're reacting based on what reality is showing us, when in fact we're the one creating it. Every time you look at your current reality and you make the observation, this fact is true, that's actually a directive. You're actually choosing that this thing is going to be true going forwards, unless you consciously choose otherwise and say, this may have been true a moment ago, but from now on I choose a different truth. So the first thing is simply to notice. Notice the narrative that is active within you. Notice if you've got a story going on that goes, this always happens to me, or I can't because of this, or things never work out for me. And when you notice it, don't beat yourself up. Don't make yourself wrong for having believed it. Just go, oh, that's the story I've been running. That's the script I've been handing to reality. No wonder things have been going the way they've been going. Now I can see why. But I don't have to keep handing that story over. I can write a new one that I prefer. Then step 2 is decision. This is where you claim your authority. You say to yourself, I decide what's true for me. I decide the story I'm living in. And then you consciously choose the new story. Now here's the part where people often get tripped up. They think choosing a new story means coming up with some big elaborate affirmation that they don't really believe yet. But that's not what I'm talking about here. You don't have to force yourself to believe something that you're not ready to believe. You just have to decide what you're going to claim as your truth moving forwards. I'll give you an example. If you've been running the story, money is always hard to come by, you don't have to suddenly jump to, I'm a billionaire and money falls out of the sky. Instead, you can choose to move into a state of, I have the power of infinity on my side. And this power is orchestrating things for me. And since I'm choosing to trust this power going forwards, it means that money flows to me more easily and that things are lining up for me in better ways than they have before. It's about choosing a story that feels empowering and expansive, but also true enough that you can actually step into it. And once you've chosen it, you live from it. You walk through life from the knowing that this is what's true now. You let it guide your thoughts and your decisions and your energy. You let it be the reality you're living in, without needing evidence to show up to confirm it. You let it be true because you're choosing that it's true, because you're the one in charge, you're the one directing things. And if anything does show up that seems to contradict it, you go, no thanks, we're not going into that old story anymore. We're living from this new story now. And by doing that, you keep aligning yourself more and more with this new reality that you're choosing. And the old unwanted reality starts to fall away. And the new one starts to become your default. And then step 3 is trust. And this is where the magic really happens. Because once you've decided on your new story, you don't have to figure out how it's going to play out. You don't have to control the details or micromanage the process. You just trust that reality is always rearranging itself to match the script you've given it. Think of it like updating the code in a video game. Once you've changed the settings, the game automatically starts playing differently. You don't have to go into every little corner of the game and manually fix it. The new code just runs. And it's the same with your life. Once you've chosen the new story, reality automatically begins to reflect it. So your job is simple. Choose the new story, live from it, and trust that everything is lining up behind the scenes. And I just want to expand on something that will make it easier for you to really embody this. You need to remember that you're not just your human self trying to force these changes. You are the higher self, the God self, the author of the whole story. And when you remember that, you stop feeling like you're trying to wrestle the facts into place. You stop feeling like you're fighting uphill battles. Instead, you remember that everything is already flowing in your favor because you're the one who set it up that way. And this is why I said at the start, don't sit there waiting for something out there to change, because there is no out there until you write it in. There's no permission coming from outside of you. The permission only ever comes from you. So let me ask you this right now. What permission have you been waiting for? What dream have you been putting on hold until life gives you the green light? And what would it feel like to just decide today that you're allowed to have it, that you're allowed to live it, that you're allowed to be it without waiting for anything else to change? Because that's the choice in front of you. And if you make it, you'll find that life begins to rearrange itself in ways that seem magical. But really, it's just the outcome, the very natural outcome of you stepping into your true role as the author of your story. And this is a way of life that is completely available to you. You can choose to live this way starting right now, because this is a power that you're already using and always have been. And it's just a case of becoming aware of this and beginning to use your power in your favor, instead of unknowingly using it against yourself, which is what many of us tend to do before it truly sinks in that we are the one creating it all. Okay, and with that, I am going to stop here for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.